It's no big deal if we got some dead air. Thank you so much for joining me on this day. I really appreciate it.
No problem. No problem.
So, a little nervous. This is my first interview ever. So if you want to introduce yourself, you can go ahead and do that.
My name is Dave Young. I work here at Comics and Gaming here in Gainesville. The store's been here since 2006, and off and on I've been here for about 2/3 that time.
Awesome. All right, I just got a few questions for you real quick. How would you say your customer flow has been affected by COVID-19?
So it basically hit sometime around mid-February, which is basically when the governor said everybody has to either shut down, make sure that nobody's got more than 10 people in the building, that kind of stuff. Still questions like masks and 6 feet of distance. There was still a lot of questions that was going on at the time, and really it was a question of were my vendors still going to be able to deliver product to me? Customers, for the most part, if they're not gaming, they just come in, pick up their stuff, and then they leave. Gamers, on the other hand, would be here to play like Magic the Gathering or HeroClix or board games of that nature, and they would be here for long periods of time. I had to close all those down, so I no longer had regular players coming through and looking through my Magic the Gathering singles and stuff like that. On the other hand, it didn't hinder new product sales, and it definitely didn't hinder any of my comic book sales at the time. It was about early March when the announcement came from the main vendor of comic books that they were going to be shutting down because of COVID. Therefore, we were not going to be getting any new product from any new Magic the Gathering product, any comic book product.
Right.
In which case, we went to our storage unit, basically pulled out a whole bunch of product that we had in there, set up on the tables that we weren't able to play games on or anything, and my customers just basically ate that up. Nice. They really enjoyed it. Magic the Gathering, or I should say Wizards of the Coast, who produces Magic the Gathering, had already had a very heavy schedule as far as what they were going to be putting out on a regular basis, and with a few delays here and there, they basically just kept putting out product. Even though the Magic the Gathering community wasn't able to come to a store, Magic players they're collectors, and so they were still willing to come in, make purchases of new product, and then basically decide how they're going to play at home.
That's good. So Wizards of the Coast, even though that COVID-19 made things a little iffy, they were still putting product out?
They were still putting product out, but they also said no sanctioned playing, no playing, organized play per se. Mm-hmm. If they catch you, I should say, running events, they will basically start taking like levels of stores are basically get allocated certain materials, and premium stores are on the top, and then if you violate the rules, they would knock you down different steps, to the point where if you did something so heinous like running in a Magic event during COVID, they've threatened to actually like cut off all product.
Nice. And I'm glad you talked about that, because that was actually my next question.
Okay.
I was going to ask if the lack of events going on has affected your store or any other stores.
Well, it's affected me personally, because that's when I would see all my friends.
Oh.
So, but thankfully, a number of them still come in and buy product. But as far as singles is usually what I would be selling. Singles, snacks during the events, little product purchases here and there. During Friday Night Magic, you don't necessarily make money off of the event itself. You basically break even.
Mm-hmm.
It's the side sales that is where you make your money. So losing those side sales, I'm missing out on that money. But at the same time, I'm also not spending the money for those events. So it kind of that portion of the magic business has basically been set off to the side. It's neither a loss nor a gain per se. Again, I repeat, it's Wizards of the Coast keep putting product out, and the customer is willing to make the purchases.
All right, gotcha.
I think the biggest part of the fact that we don't have a community playing is that I have a lot of players at home just simply not playing because they don't have anyone to play with,
Right.
because of the separation. Now, it isn't to say that there aren't groups that are not playing. Everybody's doing their own quarantine groups. But as far as like organized play, all of them have been asking me, when are you going to start reopening? And the answer still comes to the fact that my governor tells me I can't have more than 10 people in the store. And even if my governor told me that I could open up the store, I don't have an environment where it's conducive for large groups of people to come together.
True.
This isn't golf. This isn't going to the grocery store. This is people sitting across the table from each other, basically breathing on each other.
Mm-hmm.
There are locations that are doing it correctly. They have high ceilings. They've got plastic dividers in front of each of the players with slats so they can look at stuff. Everybody has to wear masks. Their gloves are passed out. They've even got hospital curtains between the tables. There are places that are doing it right, and then there's other places where they just, I don't want to say they don't seem to care, but they don't seem to take it seriously. Some would say that where you stand on this, it's a political issue, and I'm sure that it is in certain circumstances. As a 52-year-old that runs a comics and gaming store, I have to think about the community itself. And if I just have a whole bunch of people come in and start playing, granted, most of them are between 15 to 35. There's still the chances, and I can't live with that. I don't think anyone else could. The separation is painful, but I also think that it's necessary at this time.
All right. I appreciate that you're taking this so seriously, because it's like, I know that there are, like you said, there are definitely some places that aren't taking it so seriously.
I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. Maybe it's a level of paranoia, but my mother always said that it's a healthy level of paranoia is usually okay.
Right. My mom tells me the same thing. Would you say that the number of sales have increased or decreased, like with online shopping or something like that?
I definitely say that our volume is down, but because the volume is down, whether it's through the sales of comics or trades or games or whatnot, you run thinner, and so you're a little bit closer to your numbers. You can't just buy, if X-Men number 20 is coming out, you just don't buy enough for your subs and then enough for 20 copies of that book on the wall. Those days are done. You run really lean on materials. You have to pay attention to the environment a lot more, and then anticipation that, oh, in X-Men number 20, there's Two-Headed Man is having a first appearance, so you're going to order a few extra copies of that book. But on other things, it's like, I have subs, it doesn't sell well on the wall, so I'm probably not going to order any extras for the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the volume is down, but between my owner, I should say, my boss, the owner of the store, and myself, we've definitely trimmed it to where we've actually increased profits. It's harder work mentally,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to think things through. You really do.
Right. I mean,
So-
I definitely wouldn't have taken that into account.
Yeah.
I guess it's some knowledge that you gain with years and years of working at a business like this.
It's also important to know that in an environment of introverts, because most people that come into a comics and gaming store, they're generally more introverted than in other locations. It's important to still be able to communicate with those people